Imagine trying to plug a toaster into a blockchain,
I mean, that sounds like a terrible joke.
right? Like at a total punchline about tech buzzwords.
Yeah.
But what if the future of corporate innovation actually relies on combinations that are exactly that strange?
That's wild to think about.
Because you are probably bombarded every single day with headlines about AI. And usually the narrative is just all about speed and cost.
Oh, constantly. Like AI is going to write your emails faster.
Yeah, or optimize your supply chain so it operates 20% cheaper. It is basically framed as this, ultimate corporate treadmill.
Just a tool for making everything you already do run at double the speed.
Exactly. Welcome to today's deep dive. I'm your host, and as always, I'm joined by our resident expert to unpack all of this.
Glad to be here. And you hit the nail on the head with that treadmill analogy. The conversation right now is almost entirely skewed toward operational efficiency.
We just treat this profound new technology simply as a lever to squeeze, like, a few more drops of productivity
Yeah.
out of the exact same processes we've been running for decades.
Right. We ask it to solve known problems with known parameters.
But today, we are looking at a stack of notes centered on a fascinating 2026 research article. It's all about how artificial intelligence unlocks new paths of innovation.
It completely flips the script on how we use the technology.
It really does. And the mission of our deep dive today is to unpack how AI is fundamentally changing the architecture of innovation itself. We're going to look at how managers, maybe you listening right now in your car or at your desk, must completely shift your mindset.
You really have to move away from using AI merely for operational efficiency. You need to start using it as an infrastructure for discovery-based leadership.
So to understand how a manager actually leads this new era of discovery, we first have to look at the mechanics of invention.
Yeah, because when we talk about innovation, we tend to romanticize it. We picture the lone genius in a laboratory having a sudden eureka moment.
Right, conjuring a brand new concept out of thin air.
Exactly. But if we look at classic innovation theory, going all the way back to economists like Schumpeter, that is rarely how progress happens. Innovation is almost always a process of recombination.
So taking existing concept A and combining it with existing concept B.
Yes. And the friction between those two known things creates a breakthrough.
Like taking the lens of a camera and putting it onto a mobile phone. Both existed, but the mashup completely changes the world.
The technological mashup is the engine of progress. But the bottleneck is that human beings and the giant organizations we build inevitably hit severe cognitive limits.
We get stuck.
We get stuck in a phenomenon researchers call local search. We only look for new ideas within our own narrow, familiar domains of expertise.
Like a company manufacturing drill bits is going to look at metallurgy journals to find ways to make their drills last longer.
Right, they aren't reading about advancements in aerospace ceramics or marine biology. The mechanical engineers talk to the mechanical engineers.
And the marketing team brainstorms with the marketing team. I mean, think about your own company for a second. Does your supply chain logistics team ever sit down and cross-reference their raw data with the customer psychology profiles generated by your marketing department?
Yeah, probably not, because human beings naturally silo themselves. We just, we stick to the territory we understand.
We really do. And the researchers behind this paper, they brought incredible hard evidence to show how AI actually shatters those silos. They didn't just theorize here.
No, they analyzed over 476,000 matched U.S. patents filed between 2005 and 2023.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a massive study. So they looked at inventions that incorporated AI and compared them directly against similar inventions that did not.
Okay, so a huge sample size. What did they find?
The data revealed this undeniable pattern. The patents incorporating AI produced significantly more novel knowledge recombinations. Like, they were pulling from wildly different technological categories at a rate that non-AI patents simply could not match.
So the trend is definitely real. But we have to ask how this is actually happening. Like, what is the mechanism here?
Right. What is the AI doing under the hood?
Exactly.
Yeah.
What is an AI system doing that a room full of brilliant human engineers can't do when they try to brainstorm?
Well, it comes down to how AI processes information at a fundamental mathematical level. AI acts as this shared technological layer. Because human language and human filing systems are, well, they're really messy.
Oh, definitely.
The jargon used in pharmaceutical chemistry is completely different from the terminology used in agricultural soil science. So a human researcher reading across those two fields has to learn two entirely different languages.
Which takes years.
Exactly. But an AI system, specifically through things like vector embeddings, translates all that data into a shared mathematical space.
Oh, okay. So it's standardizing it.
Yes, it can take a photograph of a cell, a block of text from a legal document, an audio signal from an engine, and environmental sensor data, and convert all of them into standardized numerical outputs.
Okay, let me unpack this. It is basically a universal translator. Before this, the Mac of biological science couldn't plug into the PC of supply chain logistics because their data formats were incompatible.
Right, they literally couldn't speak to each other.
But by converting everything into standardized mathematics,
Yep.
AI suddenly makes every single discipline interoperable.
And because of that interoperability, the invisible walls dividing traditional research simply evaporate. A researcher looking for a chemical compound doesn't just search chemistry databases anymore.
Because the AI is looking everywhere.
Right. The AI can spot a structural mathematical pattern in a completely unrelated field like material science and just flag it. It makes new technological combinations feasible that were historically impossible for a human brain to map out.
So if AI is this universal translator, bridging all these distant islands of human knowledge, that forces a massive evolution in how managers actually do their jobs.
It really does.
We are moving away from the manager as a taskmaster who just optimizes a process to something entirely different.
Right. And this is the core transition from operational efficiency to discovery-based leadership. In the traditional model, a manager used AI to define a known problem and solve it faster.
Like asking your team to use predictive algorithms to forecast product demand.
Yeah, or optimizing employee shift schedules to cut overhead. You are just running the existing machine better.
But the new paradigm demands that managers view AI not as an optimization tool, but as a discovery infrastructure.
Exactly. Instead of asking a siloed team to solve a narrow problem, you use the AI to scan vast landscapes of scientific research, patent databases, and customer behaviors simultaneously.
Looking for cross-domain connections you didn't even know you should be looking for.
Yeah, and this is how organizations escape technological exhaustion, because there comes a point in any mature industry where you have combined the same 5 concepts a million different ways.
The returns just diminish.
Right. AI reopens the frontier by expanding the search space infinitely.
Okay, wait, let me play devil's advocate here.
Yeah.
Because this is where it gets really interesting, but also a bit chaotic.
Go for it.
If this universal translator is constantly scanning every domain and throwing thousands of novel cross-domain connections at a manager every single day, isn't that just a massive haystack of useless ideals?
That is a very real risk, yeah.
Like, how do you not drown in algorithmic noise?
Yeah.
It might suggest combining a toaster with a blockchain because mathematically there is a novel connection, but practically nobody wants decentralized toast.
Decentralized toast, I love that. But you hit the nail on the head. The algorithm generates the haystack of connections, but the algorithm has zero context for human reality.
It doesn't know what people actually want to buy.
Exactly. It does not understand physical constraints, emotional resonance, or market dynamics. It only sees mathematical proximity.
So the human has to filter it.
Yes, and this defines the completely new skill set required of a manager. You are no longer generating the ideas, you are evaluating them.
You have to ask, does this bizarre connection actually create customer value?
Right. Does it align with the company's strategic direction? Can it actually be manufactured within the economic realities of our current supply chain?
So the manager essentially becomes an editor of possibilities. The AI expands the frontier of what can be combined, but the human has to curate those discoveries and decide what actually matters.
That's a perfect way to put it. You are editing the possibilities.
To truly grasp what this editing process looks like, we need to leave the realm of theory. The source material highlights several vivid examples of how this cross-domain recombination is actively transforming major industries right now.
Yeah, and healthcare is one of the most striking arenas for this.
Oh, definitely.
If you look at traditional drug discovery, finding a new use for an existing drug or formulating a new one was a painstakingly slow, linear process. You test one hypothesis at a time within the strict confines of...
Right, within pharmacology.
Exactly, pharmacology. But today, AI systems are simultaneously analyzing molecular chemical structures, human biological pathways, and massive global data sets of genomic information.
All at once. Those are streams of data that used to be handled by completely different scientific disciplines in entirely different buildings.
Sometimes in entirely different countries.
Yeah.
And by analyzing those streams simultaneously, the AI is finding entirely new therapeutic applications for existing drugs in a fraction of the time.
Because it sees the mathematical connections between the molecular chemistry and the human genetics that researchers simply couldn't process all at once.
Right. We are seeing breakthroughs where a drug developed for one specific rare disease is suddenly flagged as highly effective for an entirely different condition.
Purely because the AI spotted a shared pattern across domains. That cross-pollination is incredible when applied to biology. But when you apply that same pattern matching to human behavior, you get something even wilder.
Oh, yeah. The research points to banking and finance, specifically fraud detection.
Because traditional fraud detection was heavily rule-based and siloed, right? If a transaction was over $10,000 or if it originated in a foreign country, a rigid system flagged it.
It was just a simple binary check, but modern financial fraud is incredibly complex and distributed. So modern AI models are connecting the dots across completely disparate domains simultaneously.
They aren't just looking at the financial ledger anymore.
No, not at all. They're correlating unusual transaction timing with cross-border activity, macroeconomic market trends, and even device usage patterns.
Like device usage patterns. You mean
Yeah,
things like how quickly someone is typing on their phone keyboard?
exactly that. The AI can correlate the typing speed and pressure on a smartphone screen.
Pressure on the screen.
Yes, how hard they tap. It correlates that with the time of day and the routing of a wire transfer.
That is just wild.
Right. By combining behavioral physics with financial ledgers and global economic data, the system catches complex, multi-layered fraud schemes. Schemes that a traditional rule-based system, looking only at the dollar amount, would completely miss.
It sees the invisible threads connecting all these seemingly separate human actions. There's another example from the research that brings this right down to the physical world of operations.
The hospitality and travel industry.
Yes, because the holy grail for any hotel brand is hyper-personalization, making the guest feel like the experience was custom built for them.
Historically, personalization meant, remembering if a guest preferred extra towels.
Right. Or leaving a chocolate on the pillow.
Exactly. Today, AI achieves hyper-personalization by combining domains that rarely interacted before. It continuously analyzes real-time weather forecasts, local city event data, historical guest preferences, and internal real-time hotel occupancy and staffing patterns.
Let's walk through what that actually looks like for a guest.
Okay.
So if their flight is delayed, that is macro transportation data.
Yep.
And let's say it is raining heavily in the city, which is meteorological data. The hotel restaurant is currently understaffed and overbooked, which is internal operational data.
And the AI sees all these separate domains colliding in real time.
And because it sees that collision, it dynamically adapts the guest's experience before they even arrive at the lobby.
Right. It knows this specific guest historically orders room service when it rains, so rather than letting them arrive, find out the restaurant is full, and get frustrated, the system proactively acts,
It sends a personalized room service menu directly to their phone while they're still in the taxi.
offering to have a hot meal waiting in their room when they arrive.
It is combining meteorology, physical operations, and behavioral psychology to solve a problem the guests didn't even know they were going to have.
It's brilliant.
But this raises a massive strategic question. If cross-domain connection is the primary engine of innovation now, what does this mean for startups versus legacy giants?
Oh, this is a huge shift in the balance of power.
Because large corporations are notoriously siloed. It can take 6 months just to get the marketing team and the engineering team into the same meeting. So does AI give the agile entrepreneur the ultimate slingshot to take down Goliath?
The research strongly indicates a major structural advantage for startups here. Large legacy firms are heavily bogged down by their established domains of expertise.
Their organizational charts are rigid.
Yes, their data is locked in departmental vaults, and their culture aggressively defends those borders.
But startups, by their very nature, aren't trapped in those legacy silos.
Exactly. They don't have deeply entrenched departments fighting over territory. A startup founder can use AI to map out opportunities, spot a cross-domain connection, and prototype a new business model across multiple industries.
Far faster than a corporate giant can even get authorization to share the necessary datasets internally.
Precisely.
So the agile entrepreneur essentially gets the ultimate slingshot. They can sit at the center of this universal translator, scan the entire landscape, and, well, strike wherever the unexpected connections are strongest.
But, and this is a big but, whether you are that nimble startup founder or a leader trying to steer a massive corporate ship, Pulling off this kind of cross-domain magic requires a complete redesign of how your human teams actually work together.
Because AI-enabled innovation inherently spans multiple domains, so strict corporate silos are no longer just, inefficient.
They are fatal. If your data scientists, your marketing team, and your operations managers aren't constantly communicating, your company will completely fail to capture the value the AI is offering.
The technology is merging the data streams, so leaders must forcefully merge the human communication streams.
Right. You cannot operate an integrated cross-domain AI system with a segregated human workforce.
You absolutely have to force cross-functional collaboration. And it seems like you also have to fundamentally change the way your company tests new ideas.
You do.
Because in the old model, a company would spend 3 years in siloed research and development and then place one massive make-or-break bet on a single product launch.
Which is incredibly risky now. If discovery-based leadership relies on AI suggesting dozens of novel combinations, you can't bet the whole company on every single one.
You have to build a testing ground.
Yes, managers must foster a culture of rapid, iterative learning. When the AI surfaces a bizarre but mathematically viable connection between two domains, you don't instantly build a factory.
You design rapid pilot projects to test those combinations in the real world.
Exactly. You run small, controlled experiments to see if the AI's hypothesis translates into actual customer value.
There is also a major business reality we have to address here regarding governance. Because this universal translator is pulling data from absolutely everywhere, managers are suddenly dealing with complex boundaries.
Oh, the ethical and legal boundaries are massive. The operational boundaries around data privacy, algorithmic transparency, and legal compliance become a central part of the manager's daily job.
Because just because an AI system finds a highly profitable cross-domain connection, that does not mean it is viable or even ethical to exploit it.
Right. If your AI discovers a mathematical correlation that combines someone's financial transaction history with their localized health data to systematically deny them a service or alter their pricing, you are crossing severe legal and reputational lines.
Customer trust is incredibly fragile.
It is. The manager acts as the governor of the system, ensuring that the pursuit of these novel connections doesn't violate privacy laws or destroy the brand's reputation.
So synthesizing all this, it really sounds like we are witnessing the definitive end of the lone genius inventor tinkering in a garage. The modern innovator is much more like an orchestra conductor.
I love that conductor analogy. What's fascinating here is that the person on the podium isn't making the sound, but they are entirely responsible for the final harmony.
You don't need to play every instrument yourself. You don't need to be a world-class Python coder, a biochemist, and a global supply chain expert all at once.
Right.
Instead, you use AI to see the sheet music, to see how all the different sections of the orchestra could possibly harmonize. And then you guide the human experts, your teams, to play together in a way they never have before.
It reinforces that the most valuable human skills in this new era of innovation are not rote memorization or narrow technical execution within a single field.
The premium is now placed on critical thinking, strategic judgment, and ethical reasoning.
Exactly. The AI vastly expands the frontier of what is technically possible, but human judgment decides the direction we actually take. The machine provides the map, but we choose the destination.
We are the ones holding the baton. Which brings us to the ultimate strategic takeaway for you listening right now. If we distill this entire deep dive down, it's this. Innovation is no longer just about generating brand new ideas from scratch.
It is about discovering new combinations of existing knowledge.
AI is the universal translator doing the heavy lifting of exploring those vast, disconnected landscapes of data, but you have to be the one to orchestrate the pieces, to edit the possibilities, and to lead the discovery.
Leaders have to be ready to aggressively break down the silos in their own thinking and actively tear down the walls within their organizations.
And I want to leave you with a lingering question to chew on today. If AI is slowly mapping out every possible connection between every domain of human knowledge, will the most valuable, highly paid skill of the future simply be the human ability to ask a wildly weird question?
A question that forces the AI to look where no one else even thought to look.
Exactly. Think about what two completely different worlds you could connect tomorrow. Stop worrying about just making your current corporate treadmill run 20% faster and start looking for the hidden bridges. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep asking those weird questions, keep exploring, and we will catch you next time.
Thanks for listening, everyone.